You can now buy a 3-bedroom home in Texas for the price of a used Toyota. No, it's not clickbait, and it's not falling apart in the desert. These are real homes with lawns, garages, and neighbors who still wave from the porch. Once, Texas real estate sold faster than iPhones. Now, some listings sit for months, even years. The Lone Star dream is cracking. Population shifts, soaring insurance, and investor panic are rewriting the map. But cheap always comes with a catch. From floods to factory layoffs to small-town exodus, from the Gulf Coast to the Panhandle, we'll uncover 10 cities where prices are in free fall, and the reasons might shock you. Like the video so the algorithm thinks I'm worth a mortgage. Subscribe, because by the end, you'll either be packing your bags or thanking the heavens you stayed put. Let's break it down. Beaumont, Texas. In Beaumont, a 3-bedroom home can cost less than a year of college tuition. And yes, it still has a roof. Once the glittering heart of Texas oil country, Beaumont sits 90 miles east of Houston where the bayous meet the Gulf, a place where refinery stacks rise higher than church steeples. It feels half industrial, half Southern Gothic, the kind of town that smells faintly of diesel and magnolia blossoms. Roughly 112,000 residents call it home, paying around $145,000 for brick houses shaded by pecan trees. Rents hover near $1,050, and property taxes bite a little harder than expected. Yet streets remain quiet, and neighbors still mow each other's lawns without being asked. One local shrugged, "Beaumont's the kind of town where your gossip travels faster than your Wi-Fi." Cheap doesn't mean carefree. The storms hit hard, insurance hits harder, and the job market swings with every barrel of crude. Flood maps redraw lives overnight. And yet sunsets over the Neches River still turn everything gold. Tankers, rooftops, even the rust. You hear cicadas, smell the salt, and wonder why the world forgot this place. Because if Beaumont feels like a bargain, the next city might feel like a loophole in reality. Wichita Falls, Texas. In Wichita Falls, you can still buy a 2-bedroom brick home for less than the price of a used Ford F-150, and it probably comes with a bigger yard. Perched near the Oklahoma border, this small city feels like the set of a faded western that never stopped rolling. There's a military heartbeat from nearby Shepherd Air Force Base, a sleepy downtown with century-old theaters and skies so wide they look endless. Around 102,000 people live here, where median home prices hover near $140,000 and rents sit comfortably around $950. On quiet evenings, you'll hear lawnmowers, church bells, and the occasional roar of a training jet. It's Texas simplicity, predictable, cheap, and oddly charming. A local barber joked, "The only traffic jam we get is when cows cross the fence line." Still, the slow pace has its costs. Job growth barely moves, young people leave for Dallas, and the nightlife ends before the late news. Summers sting, winters bite, and if you want sushi, you'd better pack a cooler. But drive through at dusk. Neon diner signs hum, the air smells of cut grass, and the last light glows red on the grain silos. If you think Wichita Falls feels forgotten, the next stop makes it look like a metropolis. Killeen, Texas. In Killeen, a 4-bedroom home can cost less than a new Tesla, and you don't have to charge it overnight. Anchored by Fort Cavazos, one of America's largest military bases, this city lives and breathes the rhythm of deployment. It's a mix of chain restaurants, barbershops with military fades, and sprawling suburbs that stretch into the Texas hills. Roughly 160,000 residents call Killeen home, paying around $185,000 for single-family houses and about $1,200 in monthly rent. The streets hum with trucks, base traffic, and the scent of barbecue smoke. As one local quipped, "We've got more uniforms than church clothes." But behind the affordability hides a boom and bust cycle. When defense spending dips or soldiers transfer out, the market empties overnight. Property values swing like a pendulum, and half-finished homes sit waiting for new arrivals. Still, there's resilience here. Backyard barbecues, Friday night football, and neighbors who actually know your name. The air feels heavy with heat, pride, and the distant echo of helicopters returning to base. And if you think Killeen's prices are surprising, wait until we drive south to a coastal city where even ocean views are going for clearance prices. Corpus Christi, Texas. In Corpus Christi, you can wake up to Gulf waves for less than a studio in Austin. Sounds dreamy until the next hurricane warning hits your phone. The city sprawls along the water's edge, a postcard mix of palm trees, fishing docks, and pastel motels that haven't changed since the 80s. Seagulls circle over empty beaches and the salt air clings to everything. About 320,000 people live here, where median home prices have dropped to roughly $250,000, down more than 15% from last year. Waterfront condos list for $180,000, but the catch is insurance that can cost nearly the same as your mortgage. A restaurant owner laughed, "Our property taxes rise faster than the tide." Life here is beautiful but brutal. Storms batter, humidity suffocates, and rebuilding never really ends. Some neighborhoods shimmer, others still bear water stains on the walls. Yet, on a calm evening, the bay glows orange, shrimp boats drift home, and live music spills from dockside bars. The city feels alive, imperfect, resilient, unshakably Texan. And if coastal living on clearance sounds tempting, the next town might just redefine what cheap really means. Abilene, Texas. In Abilene, you can still buy a 3-bedroom ranch house for less than the average wedding, and it'll last longer too. Set in the heart of West Texas, Abilene feels like a living postcard from the 1950s. Wide streets, brick churches, and drive-ins that refuse to die. Cowboys, college kids, and veterans all share the same diners, where coffee refills are still 50 cents if you ask nicely. Home to about 125,000 people, Abilene's median house price hovers near $175,000, with rents just shy of $1,100. The Air Force Base and 3 universities keep the town steady, even when the rest of the market sways. A local joked, "We don't do bubbles here, just slow leaks." But stability has its shadow. Job opportunities move slower than tumbleweeds, summers roast in triple digits, and nightlife ends when the Dairy Queen closes. The pace is comforting or suffocating, depending on your mood. Still, there's a quiet magic in the evenings. Porch lights flicker on, cicadas hum, and you can smell mesquite smoke drifting from backyard grills. Abilene isn't booming or busting, just breathing. And if you think this town defines slow living, the next one might redefine the word pause. Tyler, Texas. In Tyler, a 4-bedroom home can cost less than a year of rent in Dallas and comes with a rose garden instead of traffic noise. Known as the Rose Capital of America, Tyler blooms in every sense. Fragrant gardens, shady oak streets, and a downtown that still looks like Main Street should. It's a mix of southern grace and small city comfort, with barbecue smoke curling through the spring air. Roughly 107,000 residents live here, where the median home price hovers around $230,000 and rent averages about $1,200. The cost of living is about 20% below the national average, but the city's growth has slowed since the remote work boom faded. A local realtor sighed, "We went from bidding wars to crickets in under 2 years. Life here is calm, sometimes too calm. The job market is modest, the summer's sticky, and internet speeds seem allergic to consistency. But families love it. Retirees flock here, and the crime charts barely twitch. On a cool evening, Tyler feels cinematic. Streetlights glinting off red brick, the scent of roses and rain mixing in the air. It's Texas charm at half price. And if you think that's quiet, wait until you hear what comes next. A city where tumbleweeds might outnumber people. Lubbock, Texas. In Lubbock, you can still buy a house for less than the average student loan, and many of those students live here. Perched on the high plains of northwest Texas, Lubbock is a paradox. Part college town, part cotton kingdom, all dust and heart. Wind turbines spin on the horizon, and Texas Tech Red fills every Friday night bar. Home to around 260,000 people, the median home price has dipped to roughly $195,000, with rents around $1,100. Developers once built neighborhoods faster than graduates could move in. Now, some stand half empty. One bar owner joked, "Our tumbleweeds are just auditioning for real estate agents." The truth? Lubbock's affordability hides volatility. When students leave, demand collapses. When harvests fail, local spending dries up. It's a town that thrives on rhythm and suffers when it pauses. But catch a sunset here, and you'll understand the loyalty. The sky turns lavender, fields stretch forever, and the sound of country music drifts from open pickup windows. It's raw, proud, and stubbornly alive. And if you think West Texas can't surprise you, the next stop proves even border towns aren't immune to the crash. El Paso, Texas. In El Paso, a 3-bedroom home can still cost less than a single year at the University of Texas and comes with a front row view of another country. Pressed against the Mexican border, El Paso hums with dual identities: mariachis and military bases, desert dust and downtown murals. The Franklin Mountains rise like a wall of bronze behind neighborhoods painted in sun-baked pastels. About 680,000 residents live here, where median home prices have slipped to $190,000 and rents average around $1,150. Property taxes nibble, but groceries, gas, and tamales stay cheap. The city's heartbeat is steady, powered by trade, soldiers, and family. A food truck owner laughed. "Half our customers pay in pesos, half in smiles." But border beauty has a cost. Wages lag, inflation bites, and investors have pulled back as cross-border commerce wobbles. Empty storefronts dot the east side, and high winds don't just blow dust. They blow away quick profit dreams. Still, El Paso feels alive. Kids play soccer under pink skies. The scent of grilled corn drifts through the alleys, and church bells echo off the mountains. It's equal parts hardship and hope. A city that never stops straddling two worlds. And if you think the border market is fragile, wait till you see what's happening deep in the heart of Texas. San Antonio, Texas. In San Antonio, a condo near the Riverwalk can now cost less than a parking spot in Los Angeles, but that view comes with cracks in the fairy tale. The Alamo City once defined the Texas dream: historic charm, low prices, and tacos on every corner. Spanish missions meet glass towers, and mariachi echoes through cobblestone courtyards. Roughly 1.5 million people call it home, where median prices have slipped to $290,000 and rents hover near $1,400. The fall isn't catastrophic, just steady, like a slow leak in a tire you can't quite patch. A local bartender smirked. "We didn't lose our vibe, just our buyers." The reasons run deep: overbuilding, shrinking tech jobs, and insurance costs that make mortgages groan. Neighborhoods once filled with bidding wars now host open house cookies that go stale. Yet San Antonio still radiates soul. Evening riverboats glide past lanterns, guitars play under stone bridges, and the air smells of spice and rain. The culture, the warmth, they're unbreakable. This city might bend, but it never folds. And if you think San Antonio's dip is surprising, the next one shows even the giant of Texas isn't bulletproof. Houston, Texas. In Houston, you can buy a house for less than what some people pay in flood insurance. And that's not a joke, it's the problem. Texas's largest city has always been larger than life. Oil towers, space history, and traffic that moves slower than Congress. But in 2025, the market that once looked invincible is showing real cracks. More than 2.3 million people live here, yet listings linger. The median home price has slipped to $310,000, down almost 10% year over year. Flood zones and insurance hikes have pushed thousands of families to the suburbs, leaving ghost streets where cul-de-sacs once filled with laughter. A homeowner sighed, "We survived hurricanes, but not our premiums." Still, Houston keeps rebuilding. It's what the city does best. The food scene thrives, the culture's unmatched, and opportunity still hums under the chaos. But the sprawl feels stretched thin. Commutes are long, humidity thick enough to chew, and insurance so steep it scares buyers away before they even tour. Then comes evening, skyline glowing gold, bayou reflections shimmering like liquid fire. Houston remains beautiful in motion, even when it's sinking in slow motion. And if you think the city is too big to fall, the next one might prove that even smaller towns aren't safe anymore. Galveston, Texas. In Galveston, oceanfront homes sell for the price of inland apartments, but sometimes they come with their own swimming pool, courtesy of the Gulf of Mexico. This island city feels part resort, part relic. Salt-stained Victorian homes, creaky piers, and a breeze that always carries the smell of seaweed and fried shrimp. About 53,000 residents live here, paying roughly $260,000 for a home and close to $1,400 in rent. It sounds idyllic until you check the insurance rates, often topping $7,000 a year. Add hurricane shutters, rising tides, and a repair list that never ends, and paradise suddenly looks high maintenance. A fisherman laughed. "We measure time by hurricanes, not holidays." Still, Galveston has grit. Locals rebuild faster than the waves roll in. There's music on the strand, ghost stories in the alleys, and sunsets that turn the boardwalk gold. You'll find surfers, retirees, and dreamers, all chasing the same fleeting calm before the next storm. As gulls cry and the tide slides in, you realize the paradox: beauty that refuses to last and people who refuse to leave. And from here, the map only gets stranger, where Texas affordability meets the edge of reality. Waco, Texas. In Waco, you can still snag a 3-bedroom home for less than a year's tuition at Baylor, even though the campus sits right next door. Once famous for its silos, scandals, and fixer-upper fame, Waco has quietly slipped into a market slowdown that feels more like a hangover than a crash. The Magnolia boom brought tourists and investors, but by 2025, the hype faded faster than fresh paint in July heat. Around 140,000 residents live here, paying roughly $210,000 for a home and $1,250 in rent. The cost of living's friendly, but wages haven't kept pace, and new construction outgrew demand. A local barista laughed, "We built houses for influencers and forgot about everyone else." Now, the market feels split. Polished downtown lofts waiting for buyers and quiet neighborhoods where for sale signs stand like sentinels. The economy still leans on the university, hospitals, and weekend tourism, but the frenzy's gone. Still, Waco keeps its charm. A small river city of coffee shops, church bells, and endless Texas sky. At sunset, the Brazos glows copper. Students walk home under the bridges, and you realize even dream towns need reality checks. And if you think Waco's slowed down, the next town barely hits idle. Midland, Texas. In Midland, a home's price can swing more wildly than oil futures, because that's exactly what drives it. Set deep in the Permian Basin, this desert city boomed with black gold and busted with every global price dip. Drive through today and you'll see it. Shiny new trucks parked beside half-built subdivisions, dust swirling where lawns should be. Around 135,000 residents live here, where the median home price has slid to $270,000, down nearly 18% in a year. Rent averages around $1,600, but jobs come and go with the rigs. A mechanic joked, "We don't check the weather, we check the oil price." Midland's prosperity feels borrowed. When crude surges, everyone eats steak. When it falls, for sale signs bloom faster than desert flowers. The city's spirit, though, never cracks. It just grits its teeth and keeps drilling. By dusk, the sky burns orange over the pump jacks, the air smells of diesel and sagebrush, and the horizon looks infinite, like the risks everyone here keeps taking. It's boom, bust, repeat. Texas's oldest story on replay. And the next place? Let's just say it's what happens when the dream of endless land runs out of road. Amarillo, Texas. In Amarillo, you can still buy a home for the price of a used pickup. And you'll need that truck because everything here is an hour apart. Perched on the edge of the Texas Panhandle, Amarillo feels like a frontier town that never quite grew up. Cattle trucks rumble down Route 66, tumbleweeds roll across 4-lane highways, and locals still wave from behind dusty windshields. Roughly 200,000 residents live here, with a median home price of $180,000 and rent averaging $1,100. The city's cheap, steady, and stubborn. A place where recessions barely make a dent, but opportunity rarely knocks loudly. A rancher chuckled, "The wind here doesn't stop, it just changes direction." Amarillo's perks are real. Wide skies, low crime, and housing that actually fits a family's budget. But isolation takes its toll. Winters bite hard, summers sting harder, and job growth crawls behind the national average. Internet's spotty, and you'll drive half an hour for decent Thai food. Still, the sunsets stretch forever, fire and dust painting the sky. You'll smell mesquite smoke, hear the faint hum of the highway, and feel the quiet confidence of a city that survives by sheer stubbornness. And if you think Amarillo feels remote, the next one might make it look like downtown Dallas. Laredo, Texas. In Laredo, a house can cost less than the average down payment in Austin, and you might still haggle over it at the kitchen table. Straddling the Rio Grande, Laredo feels like a world between worlds. Part Texas, part Mexico, all heat and hustle. Its streets hum with border traffic, taco stands, and the sound of Spanish slipping between every conversation. Nearly 256,000 residents call it home, where median prices hover near $190,000 and rents float around $1,000. The cost of living's low, the culture's rich, and the rhythm never stops. A store owner smiled. "We don't need nightlife. We've got life all night." Still, affordability hides a grind. Wages are thin, summer heat feels biblical, and the border economy swings with every customs delay. Crime rates fluctuate with politics, and investors rarely look this far south. But at dusk, Laredo transforms. Market stalls glow under string lights, church bells echo through the dry air, and families gather on porches, fanning away the heat. It's loud, chaotic, and undeniably alive. The city breathes in 2 languages, and somehow it works. And if you think border cities are where the price drops end, just wait until the next one, where ghost subdivisions tell the real story. Odessa, Texas. In Odessa, a 3-bedroom house can cost less than a brand new bass boat, and both depend on oil to float. Twin to nearby Midland, this West Texas city rises out of the desert like a mirage of steel and dust. Pump jacks nod on the horizon. High school stadium lights glow like beacons, and every truck looks ready to haul half the state. Roughly 115,000 residents live here, with median home prices near $240,000 and rent around $1,400. When crude prices climb, so do property values. When they drop, so does everything else, optimism included. A diner waitress laughed. Around here, we don't check the forecast, we check the barrel price. Odessa's energy pays the bills, but it also burns them. Infrastructure strains, housing swings wildly, and the landscape feels one dust storm away from another bust. Yet, there's grit in the grit. Families stay, faith holds, and Friday night football still sells out. At sunset, the desert glows red and gold, the air smells of diesel and hot sand, and the skyline hums with survival. Odessa isn't dying. It's just catching its breath between booms. And if you think oil towns have drama, the next one trades pump jacks for pipelines and problems of its own. Port Arthur, Texas. In Port Arthur, waterfront homes go for less than a studio apartment in Dallas, but sometimes the water comes inside. Tucked along the Gulf near the Louisiana line, this refinery town carries the ghost of better days. Storage tanks glint in the sun, shrimp boats rock in oily harbors, and the air hangs heavy with salt and diesel. About 55,000 residents remain, with median home prices around $130,000 and rents under $1,000. On paper, it's a steal. In person, it's a story of storms and stubbornness. A fisherman grinned. Our houses come with a free humidity subscription. Jobs ebb with refinery shifts, flood maps redraw every few years, and insurance can cost more than the mortgage. Yet, community runs deep. Potlucks, church choirs, and neighbors who patch roofs together after every hurricane. By evening, gulls wheel over the docks, neon flickers in empty diners, and the scent of gumbo drifts through the damp air. It's haunting and hopeful all at once. A city that keeps rising from the tide. And if you think Port Arthur's affordable, the next stop proves some Texas dreams cost almost nothing, for a reason. Brownsville, Texas. In Brownsville, a 3-bedroom home can cost less than a year's grocery bill for a family of 4. And yes, it's minutes from the beach. Perched at the southernmost tip of Texas, Brownsville feels like a different world. Palm trees, pastel houses, and a sea breeze that smells faintly of salt and citrus. The border bridge glitters at night, and the mix of cultures gives the city its pulse. Nearly 190,000 residents live here, where the median home price sits near $165,000 and rent averages about $950. It's cheap, colorful, and crowded. A working-class city that hums with commerce and contradictions. A taxi driver grinned. We've got 2 seasons, hot and hotter. The low prices come with trade-offs. Wages are among the lowest in the state, roads flood fast, and summers melt your patience. Yet, Brownsville has soul. Markets buzz, kids play soccer till midnight, and grandmothers sell tamales from coolers with laughter in their eyes. As the sun sets over the Rio Grande, the sky burns orange, the breeze cools, and the world slows down. Brownsville isn't perfect, but it's alive. And if you think this is cheap paradise, the next town feels more like a modern-day ghost story. Del Rio, Texas. In Del Rio, a riverside cottage can cost less than a used jet ski, and sometimes that jet ski gets more traffic. Set along the turquoise waters of Lake Amistad, this border town once buzzed with tourism and Air Force families. Today, it drifts somewhere between scenic and forgotten. Sun-bleached storefronts, quiet marinas, and the distant hum of a highway that mostly passes it by. Roughly 34,000 residents remain, paying about $155,000 for a home or $900 in rent. The air is dry, the stars endless, and the night silent enough to hear crickets echo off canyon walls. A retiree chuckled. You move here for peace and get a little too much of it. Del Rio's affordability hides its remoteness. Job options are few, the nearest Costco feels like another country, and the heat could fry ambition on the sidewalk. Yet there's beauty in the emptiness. Sunrises over still water, old diners serving coffee to the same 5 regulars, and a horizon that never ends. Here, time doesn't rush, it lingers. And if you think Del Rio feels distant, the next Texas town might make you wonder if civilization forgot to send directions. Nacogdoches, Texas. In Nacogdoches, a home can cost less than a used tractor. Fitting, since you might need one to mow the yard. Tucked deep in East Texas pine country, this is the state's oldest town, where brick streets wind past antique shops and porches sag under the weight of time. It smells of pine sap, rain-soaked soil, and sweet tea left on the porch too long. About 32,000 residents live here, paying roughly $160,000 for a home or $950 in rent. College students from Stephen F. Austin State University keep the downtown alive, but when the semester ends, the city quiets to a whisper. A shopkeeper joked, "When the students leave, even the squirrels look bored." It's cheap, calm, and wonderfully green, but jobs are scarce, cell service fades fast, and summers stick like syrup. Yet that's part of its charm. Porch swings creak, church bells echo through humid air, and fireflies flicker like sparks of memory. Nacogdoches feels suspended between centuries, too peaceful for profit, too real for reinvention. And if you think that's slow living, the next stop moves at the speed of tumbleweeds. Marfa, Texas. In Marfa, you can buy a house for less than a gallery painting, but that's because half the galleries are for ghosts. Out in the high desert near Big Bend, Marfa became famous for its art scene and mysterious lights dancing on the horizon. For a while, influencers turned it into a pilgrimage site. Then the tourists left, and the silence returned. Only about 1,700 residents remain, where median home prices hover near $190,000, though many sit unsold for months. Rent runs around $900 if you can find a landlord who still answers the phone. A local artist smirked, "We've got more coyotes than customers." The town is breathtaking. Wide skies, pink mesas, and air so dry it sings. But remoteness rules everything. Grocery stores close early, gas is expensive, and phone signals vanish the moment you look away. Still, Marfa at dusk is pure poetry. Long shadows stretching over desert dust, headlights flickering on empty highways, and stars that feel close enough to touch. It's haunting, magical, and barely hanging on. And if you think this is the edge of Texas, you're right. But the story of its housing crash is just beginning. San Angelo, Texas. In San Angelo, a 3-bedroom home costs less than a year's daycare in Austin, and it comes with more peace and fewer tantrums. Set along the Concho River, San Angelo feels like an oasis carved into dry West Texas plains. Cotton fields fade into art galleries, and the downtown glows softly under vintage neon. About 100,000 residents live here, paying around $195,000 for a home and roughly $1,100 in rent. The economy leans on agriculture, healthcare, and a loyal Air Force base that keeps the lights on. A lifelong resident laughed, "We don't have rush hour, we've got church traffic hour." Affordable, scenic, and slow, but the calm has a cost. The heat bites, wages crawl, and the job listings read like they were printed last month and forgotten. Still, the sense of community runs deep. Everyone seems to know everyone, and most of them wave. When evening falls, the river reflects the orange glow of old streetlights. Cicadas sing, and the air smells faintly of dust and barbecue smoke. San Angelo doesn't compete with big city dreams, it ignores them. And if you think that's small-town serenity, the next one feels almost off-grid. Alpine, Texas. In Alpine, you can still buy a cottage for less than a new iPhone Pro Max, but good luck finding a signal to activate it. Hidden in the Chihuahuan Desert, this mountain town sits between nothing and nowhere, surrounded by peaks, silence, and skies the color of eternity. Trains rumble through once a day, scaring more lizards than people. Barely 6,000 residents call it home, paying about $175,000 for a house and $900 in rent. It's affordable, yes, but groceries cost double, gas is gold, and the nearest big hospital is 2 hours away. A park ranger joked, "We've got 4 seasons, hot, hotter, dusty, and deer." Still, there's something mesmerizing about Alpine. Nights shimmer with stars, mornings smell of creosote and coffee, and time stretches like the desert horizon. It's isolation at its most poetic. If you crave quiet, it delivers in spades, maybe too many. And if you think Alpine's remote, wait till you see the next place, where the real estate listings look like they've been abandoned as long as the houses. Eagle Pass, Texas. In Eagle Pass, you can buy a home for less than a year's grocery bill in San Francisco. And the tacos are better too. Perched on the Rio Grande, this border town feels half frontier, half fiesta. Pickup trucks rumble past pastel houses, and every evening smells of grilled meat and river dust. It's a city where English and Spanish dance in the same sentence, and neighbors share both fences and family recipes. Roughly 29,000 residents live here, with median home prices near $160,000 and rents hovering around $900. It's affordable, lively, and stubbornly authentic. The kind of place where everyone waves, even if they don't know you. A gas station clerk laughed, "Our biggest traffic jam is a goat crossing the bridge." But cheap living comes with challenges. Jobs are limited, flood zones shift with every storm, and healthcare means crossing the river or the county line. The summers roast, the mosquitoes plot revenge, and internet feels like a luxury. Still, there's a beauty to the grit. Children playing in sprinklers, mariachi echoing from porches, and sunsets that paint the border gold. Eagle Pass doesn't sell the dream, it survives it. And if you think this is the end of the line, Texas always has one more surprise waiting down the road. Texas. Wild, stubborn, and beautifully unpredictable. From oil towns to border cities, every cheap house tells the same story. Resilience wrapped in rust. It's the state where even a market crash feels like a plot twist. Heat, hope, and free character development included. So, which one's calling your name? The beach that floods, the border that hums, or the town where time forgot to speed up? Like this video so the algorithm thinks you're house hunting responsibly. Subscribe, because when the dream costs less than rent, you'll need an escape plan. And maybe flood insurance.